Now over to our third speaker, Ian Drummond, from the Campaign for Mass Workers Party and also CEC candidate for Scotland.
Thanks, Dave. And when you said Ian's our first speaker, I panicked and took my cell phone off mute 10 or so minutes ago. And when you said, well done, Ian, for timekeeping, I thought that's a prophecy I'll try and live up to. So here goes. So I'm standing in Scotland for only one seat currently on the CEC. One of the reasons I decided to stand over the festive period was this very uh, very weird festive referendum, very weird times it was called. I remember Nora just said about there was a few weeks after conference where we didn't hear back, and comrades were saying they were tired. Got a lot of sympathy for that. I was tired. I'm sure a lot of people were tired after. But having waited that long, which was starting to get on a bit, to then not wait a few days longer, but to declare a referendum for a week's ending in a week's time at 9 o'clock or so p.m. on the 23rd of December was strange timing. I actually did vote yes in it in the end because it was to straighten out some stuff from conference, though it was um, a, a bad precedent. I hope we don't have lots of plebiscites between conferences, but 16 divided by 9 in terms of English regions plus gender balance would have been a mathematical nightmare. So put England up from 16 to 18, and fair enough in a way, except that it left out Scotland and Wales. So we're on one, while every English region's on two. I believe it's actually the region Ian Spencer standing in as half the population and half the Your Party membership of Scotland, and gets twice the representation. Um, so to over-represent England's already lopsidedly big um, population within the central structures of Your Party just seemed a bit absurd to me. Almost pushing Scotland out the door when there's some people, not me, thinking we should set up as a totally separate Scottish party like the Scottish Greens are, or the Scottish Greens were until imminently, because I saw a headline just on Saturday, I think, in the National, or Sunday actually, saying that because of the Zach Polanski surge, they're getting back together. And we still not got the data up here for the Scottish structures that will be setting up imminently at Scottish Conference at the start of February, to start building out to our paid up membership, but also I'd argue we should be getting the data for our wider layers of the sign-ups initially when went up to 800,000 before the row in the UK. Certainly in the early stages of that, there was a time where it was above average interest in Scotland. And those people have never been properly recontacted with to try and build the party outwards to the first layer of those who are interested. And even if some are vexatious or just keeping an eye on us, there's certainly, it showed there was a mood there for a new party, and the mood in Scotland for a new party of this nature as well, and that Scottish autonomy, which I support, shouldn't be seen as a quid pro quo for less involvement, less fair representation in the case of the CEC structure in the party as a whole. So I'm campaigning. My first pledge is to dilute my own role. If I get in, I'll be trying to get more, at least one more, to level Scotland up to an English region. If you want to respect the difference of nations from regions, which I think is fair enough, then could do that by having more than a single English region, but certainly not less. So that was my pitch. Discussed it with comrades here as well, supporting other democratic demands. I mentioned in my 300 words that I'm a supporter of the CMWP and also early signatory of Ken Loach and Naomi Wynne-Bernadrice's platform for a democratic party. Both organisations, of course, having party in the name, despite not being parties of any, by any way, shape, or form, by any of the definitions that have been debated in terms of dual membership. Because that's another thing with this dual membership debate. Some people say parties that are registered, that stand candidates against us, and so on. The SWP and Socialist Party don't do that. So, but some of the, well, they're parties because they've got an internal structure, their own policies, and so on, in the name party. Whereas these groups are referring to your party, campaigning for your party. In the case of the CMWP, campaigning for it to be set up sooner than it was in the quite long period before it went public, and both of them campaigning for it to be done in as democratic a way as possible. And I mentioned them both actually for that reason. I said that I think the last 6 months have proven us right that it's not so much a tightrope act as it might have seemed in the initial stages, being fully supportive of the party and wanting maximum member democracy. That actually these things are complementary because, in terms of the row, the grassroots have turned out to be the adults in the room calling for unity when the MPs were falling out so badly, and actually salvaged the thing in the autumn. And the demand for data, especially, there were others that had to leave off the final 300 words, editing it down. But I kept the data because that really does combine turning the party outwards, being less obsessed with structures, hopefully, sometime soon going forward, being more democratic at the same time, because it's getting past these bureaucratic bottlenecks would be good for both of those things, obviously.
1 minute left, Ian.
So, okay, thank you, comrade. So, having mentioned these two groups, especially I imagine this one with party in the name, I was briefly disqualified. I was reinstated at 6:15 on Wednesday morning, so I do give some credence to the argument that there were people working round the clock at that stage, and they did come to the right, factually right, as well as anything else, decision with me. With Dave Nellis, Chris Williamson, April, who should have been here, and others, who are actually all much bigger figures than me. They did apply the rule, it seems, faithfully as well. But that brings me to the final point, if I've only got a few more seconds, such as I think this rule should never have been made and enforced in this way in the first place. Conference voted as much as it could out of the options available for dual membership. At this stage, bringing in people to a new party, setting up its structures from across the left is just pragmatically sensible as well as anything else. As a Marxist comrade in Greece said, looking at the bigger picture, Dave Nellis is someone you want on your side, former Labour MP on the left, and the same I'd say about Chris Williamson. And I think that I got caught in the crosshairs because of either an AI or a quick reading Pavlovian response to the word party. So, as well as leading to these things, it also led to some collateral damage, which there was an enormous amount of solidarity with all of us, actually, and in my and the other Ian's case, did work in getting us reinstated and now both on the ballot. So hopefully that's put some wind in our sails, if anything, Ian. But yeah, going forward, we should, in my opinion, it was another thing that I had to leave off my 300 words. We should have as generous a whitelist as possible until such a time, hopefully quite soon, that we can abolish it altogether and say just nobody in a party that stands against us. And that some people will go even more liberal, say the Greens should be allowed. I've got some sympathy for that for now because we've lost so many members to them and we should be trying to reclaim them. But if they stand everywhere and we stand anywhere, that would be getting a bit messy. But certainly we should be a party
That
of the
was a
whole lot.
nice long minute. Right, thank you. Thank you, Ian. Okay.